we've done is we've traveled from the airport, which is the north of the city, and we're traveling southwards. Mumbai is an island.
I don't know if the mic is on.
Mumbai is an island, and it's longer north to south and east to west. So it almost looks, if you've seen a map, it looks like a finger extending into the Arabian Sea. All of the body of water that you see around the city is all the Arabian Sea. We're located on the western coast of India, which faces the Middle East and the West, and that is why it's called the gateway to India. And tomorrow we will be seeing that gateway where the former landing of our ships took place. So Mumbai is very much a coastal city, and that's why we have these fishing villages. Can you see on your left? That's a very, very old fishing village, because the fishermen were the original settlers in Mumbai. And since they have every right to stay there, they are not controlled by any of the zoning laws of the city, because they were the original inhabitants. And over the years, their shelters, which were palm sheltered homes, have become now 3-storied high buildings, and this little townships of its own. This is what Mumbai is all about. It's just a whole interesting cityscape with many different levels to it. Even when you drove from the airport, you saw that there were slum clusters. That's also part of the cityscape. We can't just erase them for you. It's all part of living in the city. The fact that 57% of the population of 19 million, 19, that's the population of Mumbai, live in one-room tenements. That's the reason being that Mumbai is a space-starved city. It's an island. There's only that much of land, and everyone wants to live as close as possible to their place of work. So even if they're doing well, unless they really have pots of money to buy all these new luxurious condominiums that have come up, it's difficult to really afford real estate in Mumbai. The prices are one of the highest in Asia. And the compromise is you have to move out onto the mainland where it's much cheaper, or you continue to live in your one-room tenement and make it as comfortable as possible. So a lot of the clusters that you see need not be poverty-stricken, not at all. The families are all doing well. There is an earning member. All the children have access to free schooling that is set up by government. So, and as far as possible, if they can put in the refrigerator, the laptop, the TV, it's all there. And that's why when you look at the slum clusters, you'll see the satellite dishes. And if you really go into one, they're very hospitable. It's all very neat, very neatly arranged, very clean inside. But of course, it's cramped. It's cramped. But this is what we are used to. Whoever lives in Mumbai knows how to live in cramped conditions. It's there. But all of this people do because Mumbai is a city of gold. It's India's financial center. It's the place which contributes 30% of all the tax collected in the country, tax revenue collected in the country is collected from the city. This is how important a financial center it is. And it's also the headquarters of the most glamorous industry in the world, the Bollywood as we call it. Because we're the largest. We produce more than 350 films a year, and it is based in Mumbai. So you can imagine how many migrants come into the city and are still coming. They've been doing it over centuries, but even today we have 300 new people coming in trying to make their place in the sun in the city, because this is a city of opportunities, plenty of rags to riches stories as inspiration, and this is where your abilities is recognized, and that's why Mumbai is such a great magnet for migrants. So we're going to see different levels of Mumbai, different cityscapes. The contrast, the sheer contrast of Mumbai itself is just interesting. Even if I stop talking and tell you to look around, you'll find so many interesting things to see. Today, of course, is Sunday. It's a quiet day. There are 6.5 million less in the city. That's the number of commuters that use the train to come in from their homes in the suburbs into their offices in the city. But tomorrow, Monday, we are going to do a heritage walk. So you will see the whole sea of humanity that pours out of our terminuses. That's like almost half of Australia's population that comes out of the two terminuses in Mumbai. So it's a city where you have, like I said, fishing villages, you have the slums, you have the most expensive private residence in the world in Mumbai. The $1 billion, not million, but $1 billion home of Mr. Ambani is also located in Mumbai. Mr. Ambani, the Reliance Group of Industries. He built a 27-tower building for 5 members of his family. So that is also located in Mumbai. We'll be passing that. I'll point that out to you. And you have all of the earlier the mill land has been converted now to very high-end luxury living residences and office centers. So it's very much a city in transition. There's constant roads being widened, flyovers being built. There are 2 metro lines that are going to come into the city, one underground, which will give relief to our thousands of commuters who suffer every morning in a non-air conditioned train, packed in a compartment that is fit for 100, but at peak hour it goes up to 300. So we have some of the worst statistics as far as accidents are concerned. There are almost 10 a day in our railways. But that's the quickest and the most cheapest way to come into the city. The tickets are all subsidized by the government, so it's not expensive to travel by the train. It's all overland at the moment, but like I said, all of these projects are starting soon. We have a new government, so let's hope things get running quick and efficiently. The other thing Mumbai is famous for are its 2 services. One is the Dhobi service. Well, the Dhobi service is there all over India, but the one here in Mumbai that we're going to stop by and take a quick look at and maybe take a photograph of, the washermen, Dhobis are the washermen community, and they do the laundry. So once a week they come to your house, collect whatever you have for them, bring it to a washing area close by, and then iron them and deliver them back home. All for about 10 US cents a piece. So why should it perish? It's a 2,000-year industry. The Dhobis, D-H-O-B-I, the Dhobi used to work as a caste. You know, when the caste system was very much the social norm, they were a caste apart, and the profession would carry on from father to son. No longer, we have no legal sanction now for the caste system. It's there in the mindsets, but no longer are the Dhobis only restricted to the Dhobi caste. A lot of the migrants that come in and are not successful in finding a job land up doing job work or contract work under the Dhobis. So this particular Dhobi cart or washing area that we're going to has 10,000 of these Dhobis there, and 200,000 clothes are washed every day. So the sheer volume and the size is stumping, and that is why it's interesting. The other service, which tomorrow we're going to catch, is the Dabawala service, the lunch courier system. Mumbai is the only city, I think, in the world that has lunch couriers delivering 250,000 lunches by a team of 5,000 men all over the city. They deliver on time. They never make mistake. They're a 6 Sigma organization. So that means that they make one mistake in 16 million deliveries. And you say, what's so great about that? The greatness is there's no name and addresses of those lunch boxes. There's just a code. And only they know where they pick up their lunch box from, which home and which office it has to be delivered. There's a documentary made by BBC, by French TV. Harvard Business School has come down to study their logistics. And these are not sophisticated men in suits and computers and laptops. These are simple village folks, some who have not even gone beyond the 5th standard. They have put this 130-year-old system into place, which just stumps, like I said, big business houses by their sheer efficiency. They're Sigma 6, they're never late, and they've never had a strike in their union. It's a cooperative business. So it's amazing how these two services function, and of course, thanks to them, life in Mumbai for us is much easier and that much more or less stressful if you have your laundry taken care of at such a low price, and if you have a home-cooked lunch served in your office without you having to carry it in a very, very crowded compartment in the morning, or your wife or your mother doesn't have to sit and make it at 5 in the morning so that it's in time for you to take back. You know, people do have long commutes. An hour and a half is very normal on Mumbai trains. So they have to leave home early in order to reach office in time. Dabbawala. Dabba. D-A-A-A and wala. Wala is always a suffix that means a vendor or provider of service. There was a film last year that was released. It was known as a Lunchbox. It won an award in the Cannes Film Festival. It won a critique award, and it's a very, very sweet movie. If you can try and download it or catch it on the net, it's called The Lunchbox, and the backdrop is this Dabbawala system. So the pavements of Mumbai are always buzzing. It's a buzzing city. A lot of entrepreneurs out there. These are all businessmen that you see running businesses on the pavement. Of course, like I said, hawkers are much less today, being a holiday. But on any working day, you'll have the chai wala, you'll have the sandwich wala, you'll have your cobbler, all running their businesses on the pavement. Fantastic. They don't pay income tax because they don't give you receipts. It's all a cash business that they do. And they are able to save and send money to the villages back home. And even sometimes ask for help from relatives to come and help them out with the business. That's how successful some of these small, what looks to you like hole-in-the-wall businesses are actually quite a revenue, income generating business, especially if you're a chai wala. The chai is tea. If you are a chai wala at a strategic point, you know, we like to drink tea about 5 times a day. So there's constantly a crowd around these tea vendors. All this is central Mumbai, which at one time was the textile center for Asia. That's what Mumbai was in the last century, Asia's largest textile market. It was very much an industry that gave us our millionaires a lot of money to be made in the cotton trade. 50 or 60 of those textile mills were located within the city limits itself. But due to a big crippling labor union problem and the high cost of production, about 30 years ago, slowly the industry started shutting down. And the mill owners realized that they were sitting on pretty expensive real estate, and it was much more profitable to sell off the land rather than run the textile mill there. So the textile mill industry moved out of Mumbai, and we had 500 acres of precious real estate opened up for development. All that was all the high rises, you know, when we went on the bridge and you could see what we call the Shanghai-like cityscape. Well, that was all former mill land. So if you had come to Mumbai about 30 years ago, you would have seen chimneys of former mill. Even this area here on the left, you see all these new buildings, the tall buildings, these have all been built on former mill land. So that is how the city is changing, where what was lower income group areas have now become upmarket. Naturally, because like I said, we're always looking for land and more space.
Yeah.
So here on the left, you can already see how much space, I mean, how little space is wasted actually. So every area is covered the top roofs are all used to dry the laundry, and that's where we are headed towards actually. The Dhobi Ghat there.
Is that a racetrack or horses?
Yeah, on the right is what we call the green lung of the city. That's a horse racing track where horse racing takes place every weekend. This is also a busy area. It's just outside of a railway station along our western railway network. And here you have it. You've got the railway track, a railway station. You've got the Dhobi Ghat, which is a 2,000-year-old cottage industry, and you've got those new high-rises, luxury apartments at the backdrop. I mean, this is what Mumbai is about. Just this contrast. Okay, we're going to get down, and there's a photo opportunity for you. And we'll get back up again after about 5 minutes or so.
Are we walking anywhere or are we staying put?
No, we're just going to go on the bridge.